Jeff Lewis' ex Gage Edwards took to Instagram on Tuesday with a detailed statement condemning Lewis' public revelations about their 5-year-old daughter Monroe on his Sirius XM radio show, Jeff Lewis Live, and the company's willingness to promote it. As many people know, my preference has always been to not engage, Edward, 36, said. For almost 3 years, I've rarely commented on many mistruths said about me. For me to correct them, would be to put my ego above my daughter. What is unfair, and what I will speak about, is the continued exploitation of a minor for content. In the past and certainly recently, untrue and false stories have been told with an embellished narrative about my daughter. Edwards said that the embellishments are likely because they are more interesting in the scheme of what's currently going on. It's more jarring, more likely to be written about, which brings attention to Lewis' radio show. In my view, it's very calculated, he said. Equally as disappointing as the person that continues to talk about her, is Sirius XM, the executives, producers, and people in charge of Radio Andy. Edwards said that the PR machine of Sirius XM radio often promotes clips of Lewis discussing details of their co-parenting issues for further exposure. In my opinion, Sirius XM is equally involved in whatever it is you want to call this, Edwards said. It's encouraging and rewarding exploitative behavior, which always leads to more of the same. He wrapped up in saying, the person you are leveraging however is 5 years old. It's gross. She has a right to privacy. Enough is enough. Edwards' statement came a day after Lewis said on his show that Monroe said she was pretty mad at him for speaking about her on his radio show, and that if he kept it up, she will not see me again until she's a grown-up. Lewis said on his radio show that he later sent a text to Edward asking him not to involve their daughter in their rift. I said, look, I never say anything negative about you to Monroe, ever, and this feels divisive. I would never want to turn her against you, which seems like what you're doing right now. You're mad at me, please don't use her to take it out on me, Lewis said. Lewis said on his show that the unrest stemmed from Edward telling their daughter that she was denied getting into a private school after Lewis spoke on the air of a December 21st holiday bash he threw that he said was a super spreader event after he and other attendees tested positive for COVID-19. Lewis said Monroe was denied access to that private school before the holiday super spreader, so they had other reasons for that, as they already hated him. Edward was less than thrilled that Monroe has been denied into multiple private schools, Lewis said, adding that his ex attributes it to his high profile and notoriety. Lewis said that he and Edward had been getting along famously and co-parenting nicely prior to the details of his party making headlines.